Why? They killed my mother, right in front of my eyes. Why? On my birthday night, I was getting ready to meet you. I knew you would come. Suddenly, a lot of men barged in so quietly, me and mom couldn't even scream for help. They killed mom on the spot. Jungkook held her hand, not knowing she went through so much pain alone. Why? I was a kid back then. I didn't know what to do. Seeing the dead body of my mother, it killed me from inside. Why? They took me with them in a van. I couldn't fight. I was scared. So scared, and suddenly all the cars stopped. Someone rescued me. A man I didn't know back then. Ryan. He took me with him. I didn't trust him either, but he was my savior. He provided me with a place and clothes. Apparently, he was the right hand man of a mafia who turned out to be my father. My mother hid it from me and the world that her husband was a mafia. Ryan. The day I was born, mom separated herself from dad to keep me away from his business. But eventually, his enemies found out about his wife and his daughter. They kidnapped me to use me against him. Ryan. They succeeded. The night when they came to take us, Dad gave himself up to save us. They killed Dad too, and I was the only one left. This man who saved me, Alex, he was an assassin. He raised me like himself. Ryan. He taught me how to fight and grew up to take over my dad's empire. The same empire my mother wanted to protect me from. But I wanted revenge. I couldn't forget my mother's dead body and my father's sacrifice to protect me. Ryan, the thought of you stalked me always, but I lost my life within a night. I understood why Dad never came to meet me, because he didn't want to put me in danger. That's the reason I could never meet you either, Jungkook. Ryan, that would put you and your family in danger. I couldn't allow that. I grew up, grew stronger, took my revenge, and found you again. It took me 10 years of pain and suffering, but I did it. I found my way back to you, my love. She cupped his cheeks, and Jungkook was in so much shock, taking his time to process all that information. She went through so much alone, while he was too slow to find her. He promised to protect her. Did he fail it? Ryan, look at me. She held his cheeks and met eyes with his. Ryan, it has nothing to do with you. If you're thinking that, then please don't. I found my identity, took my revenge, I kept you safe, and I found you again. Jungkook held her hands and kissed her palms. Ryan, if you stay with me, that will put you in danger too. I've did so many wrong things and made so many enemies. If after hearing all this you want to leave, you Jungkook stopped her midway by a kiss so deep and full of love. She got her answer. Jungkook, I regret not being with you through all of this. And you want me to leave when I finally got you back after all these years? She smiled and her phone rang. She got off his lap and picked up the call, her expressions hardening and her grip tightening on the gun in her jeans. Jungkook, everything okay? He asked when she hung up the call. Ryan, actually, there's still someone I need to get rid of. He didn't kill my family, but he was the one who suggested it. He's the only one left. And they found him. Jungkook, I'll come with you. She looked at him once and nodded. The two left for the car and left the mansion. Vine drove off to the address given to her by her assistant, her hands shaky with rage and years of pain. Jungkook put his hand on her thigh to provide some sort of comfort, and that was more than enough for her. Once they reached the place, it was an old alleyway. She saw a man sitting on the stairs of some old home while smoking and using his cell phone. Of course, he was on roads, since the empire he served was burned in ashes. He looked up to find Ryan and blew out the smoke. So, no. So, you found me too. You grew up just fine like that, told me. He stood up, throwing the cigar away. So, no. You were never supposed to survive that night. It was never the plan, and you ruined everything. He yelled in anger. Ryan, oh, does that make you angry? I took your everything. You did that to a lot of people, but you don't regret that. Sunho took out a gun and pointed it at Ryan. Jungkook balled his fists, but for now, decided to trust Ryan. He stood in front of her and Sunho smiled. Sunho, who is that rough guy? Your lover? Jungkook, raise a gun at her again, and I'll crush you with my bare hands. Sunho, that's amusing, Even with all those big muscles, you'll die with a bullet to your heart. Jungkook, unlike you, I am not afraid. He brought Ryan enough time and distraction. He was huge in size as compared to her. Her moving behind him wasn't caught by Sunho as she shot a bullet straight to his hand. Sunho let out a grunt and the gun fell from his hand. Ryan went near him, kicking the gun out of his reach, and punched him right across his face. Jungkook leant against the wall with arms crossed. He would step in if he was needed, but this was her fight, and he would let her win. She kicked the man in his gut before she kneed him across his jaw. Sunho coughed blood and fell on his knees, holding his jaw in pain. Ryan, you were the reason behind it all. You took my everything away. She grabbed his hair and slammed his head against the wall again and again. Jungkook watched everything quietly till the anger in her eyes died and the rage in her hands disappeared. She left the man on the ground cold and dead and called her assistant to take care of the body. She walked over to Jungkook and he wrapped his arm around her waist and pulled her against him, not caring of the blood on her clothes and hands. Jungkook, how are you feeling? Why? Amazing. I've waited for this day for too long. I took my revenge. I got you back. It always killed me to run back to you and hide in your arms. I knew you would protect me. Jungkook, I would, and I'll do it forever. He kissed her head. Wine, we have a lot to catch up to do. Jungkook nodded and his phone rang, which he ignored, but Wine urged him to pick it up. Once he was done, he kissed her so rough and wild before turning it into a soft affection. Jungkook, they say woman brings you luck. While I never believed that, but guess it was true. Jungkook, I got the job offer. A respectable job with a good pay, enough to give us a good life. While it's only the start, I'm sure you'll do much more. Jungkook, so, my lady, my love, will you go out on a date with me? He extended his hand and she took it. Jungkook kissed it and picked her up bridal side, earning a chuckle from her, and walked back to car. It had been 10 years, the last time she felt this nice and she laughed like this. After 10 years, she felt she should turn to the life she always wanted, with this man holding her in his arms. Jungkook took a seat and put wine in his lap. They stayed there, in silence, feeling each other, feeling and making sure they finally had each other after 10 years and it was not a dream. Jungkook, Mom would love to see you again. Why? This time, as your girlfriend. Jungkook, her soon to be daughter in law. Ryan, aren't you too confident in yourself, Alpha? She teased, raising her brow at him. Jungkook, I am. And do you think you can ever escape me again? He held her jaw, and she kissed him once. Ryan, never. She held his locket with one hand and rested her head against his chest and closed her eyes, feeling his heartbeat, feeling the boy she fell in love with and the man whom she found again. She was truly in love with him and promised to never leave him again.